All right, bang, bang. Here we are, week 3 of the NFL. Now, I'm still in the transition of moving, so my setup sucks. Dustin's been moving. It's been a wild couple of weeks. Price is just sitting back there making himself a new office. So the production value of these videos are going to be going up. So let's go back a week. We had a lot of good calls. I'm going to have Price break down a couple of his really good calls he had. But there's a couple areas where we ended up falling short. Who would have thought Derrick Henry in a spot to smash completely was a dud? Not to mention, we had one other dud, was Julio Jones, who dropped a pass for a touchdown, which would have made up. He would have got his points and wouldn't have been amazing, but he would have at least got to where the benchmark where you needed for his value. So Dustin, what happened with Henry and Julio, and then we'll go to Price with a couple of his great picks that he had last week.
Yeah, I mean, Henry was in a smash matchup. He's literally torched the Jaguars. I forget how many weeks in a row when they played them. Looked really good week 1, and then, for whatever reason, I think he had like 90 yards or something, which isn't terrible, but didn't do much else, right? No touchdowns. Wasn't involved in the pass game, and just one of those weeks where the guy's poised to go all out and just doesn't for whatever reason. Can't really say that I think it's the second highest running back behind Zeke, and then he just duds like that. It's kind of hard to swallow. But Julio, same thing. Great week 1, didn't have the touchdown catches, and then just looked terrible. I mean, obviously the drop touchdown on the trick play, and then a couple catches throughout the game. So really disappointing. We did have some great picks. One was Deontay Johnson. We've been all over him 2 weeks in a row, and he balled out 130 yards or something like that, touchdown. We had the good, the bad, and the ugly, unfortunately, for this last week. But it's going to happen, especially when the studs are the ones that dud. There's really not much you can do about it.
Yeah, speaking of studs that dudded, I went pretty heavy on Davante Adams last week. I was pretty much all in on him and Julio. I had them in every lineup, at least one of them. My main lineup, I had both. So the fact that I still cashed in that lineup
that's impressive.
I was really heavy on Jordan Reed in a lot of my lineups, and he did awesome for being 2,600. And then another really good call I had was James Robinson for the Jaguars. He ended up with like 25 fantasy points at 4,400. I mean, just absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, outdueled Henry for sure.
Yeah. So I did tell a couple guys in the Slack. I had one lineup with Aaron Jones who had like 48 points. So if you're not going to go Davante Adams and Rodgers, use Aaron Jones because they're going to score points, and he went off. So luckily I had a lineup that had him, Reed, and then I snuck in Mike Evans just because I knew he was going to be super low owned, and he ended up having a really good game too. And then we talked about on the pod, my lock of the week was Dak Prescott at quarterback. And, anytime your quarterback gets 3 rushing touchdowns and throws for 400 yards, you're going to have a big week. So it was really nice that just the fact that I was able to actually make a profit being 80% Davante Adams and 90% Julio, I'll take that every week. Because it should have been a bad week, and I still ended up making my money back plus.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're that close to a ridiculous lineup, and the 2 guys that hurt you are Davante Adams.
My locks of the week.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. And week 1, and obviously throughout their career, they ball out more often than not. So just kind of unlucky there.
Another stud play that we had was John Taylor for the Colts running back. He looks like he's going to be right behind, I would say, Derrick Henry, Kamara, and with all the injuries now, there's a couple other stud like Zeke is up there. But after those 3 or 4 top running backs, literally Taylor, I think, is the bell cow, and he's still this week priced at a really good, appealing price. So what was funny last week was I was all over John Taylor, like all over this man. And I had one lineup without him. And this lineup, you just got to laugh at it. Sometimes when your lineups go bad, you kind of want them just to completely implode. And that's what this lineup did. I decided to be contrarian and go against everything I was doing on all my other lineups. Went with Will Fuller, Hammy, right? Paris Campbell, PCL torn. Then I had Saquon Barkley. That's a torn ACL. Literally, that lineup just completely blew up. So you just have to sit back and laugh.
Robinson with him too.
Huh?
Didn't that one have Trubisky and Allen Robinson in it?
Oh yeah. It goes on and on. Derrick Henry in there as well. It was on paper. I was like, oh, I love this lineup. Love it. And I'm really sad because Paris Campbell has been somebody I've been on from the Ohio State University, a speedster, 4.3, 4.4 kind of guy. And the quarterback was loving him first week. And so I wanted to be all over him. But last week, John Taylor, like, is just a complete stud. He's like a mini Saquon Barkley in a lot of ways. And so I don't feel comfortable playing Campbell and Taylor. Now I don't have to worry about that with Paris Campbell out. So kind of know where I want to go this week. Back to the well with Taylor. I think we had some game theory that we messed up. We were talking about it a little bit. I was not wanting to go back, my big lineup with Aaron Jones and Calvin Ridley a couple weeks ago, where I got 6th place for $5 to $10K. I didn't want to go back to the well. So instead I went to Julio, but I think we messed up that game theory and price. Can you kind of elaborate on where we went wrong there?
Yeah, so we were discussing it, and every single person had Julio as the either number 1 or number 2 receiver play of the week behind Devontae Adams. And his ownership over Calvin Ridley was going to be 3 times Calvin Ridley's. So the game theory behind that is you sacrifice going from Julio down to Calvin Ridley, you save $600, but they're both going to see around the same amount of targets every game this week. And that gives you such a big leverage spot when Julio undoubtedly has his games where he just does. And last week was a prime example where he laid a dud and Calvin dropped another 30 fantasy points. So literally, if you do the 2 plays we talked about, where instead of Adams, you play Jones, instead of Julio, you play Ridley, you mix that in with all our other calls, and you're going to make 6 figures. It's just plain and simple.
Yep.
Instead, we got caught up in the, oh my God, he's a fucking monster. He's going to tear these guys up. And he just somehow, and again, it had 80 points and 1,000 yards. He got us 4 fucking fantasy points. It is what it is. But
it's also crazy, not to try to stay on this week, and some of this conversation has to do with going into next week as well, lessons learned and where everything is trending. But Michael Gallup for the Cowboys, with all of those points scored, he's just MIA. It looks like CeeDee Lamb. I know the dude is spectacular, his off-the-charts measurables. He's lining up in the slot. I think he's in like 80% of pass plays right there in the slot. Is Gallup going to explode? I mean, he's been duds. I know he's been burning some people, especially last week where it was a perfect spot for him to smash. Is it that you don't have to worry about what's happened because it's about the future and you want to pick just that one right week, or do you think CeeDee Lamb is going to completely hog all of his touches?
As an unbiased Cowboys fan, he should have had the game-winning touchdown if not for the flop job
Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey did week 1. So, I just think, right now they have so many weapons. Obviously Zeke's going to get his touches. Got to feed Amari, and then you drafted this rookie really high, and Gallup's kind of the guy that can be left out, if you know what I mean. And so it'll be interesting trending forward, to kind of see his impact. But I would think that with Jarwin going down, I know Schultz had a pretty good game, but I figured that he would pick up more of that slack, if you will. And it just hasn't translated yet. But you got a new coach, it's kind of one of those deals where, we probably won't know till game 4 or 5 if he's going to be a dud on the year or if it's just kind of maybe a game plan or, something like that.
I'll tell you what's not going to happen. That tight end is not going to lead the team with targets of 12 targets. Like, that's just not happening again. That was just a miracle.
Hey, when you got all those other weapons, they have to leave somebody open.
It's like ridiculous. Like, come on. So, all right, let's Price is giving his stare of like, can we get the show?
Let's get on week 3.
I don't like the Cowboys. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the Cowboys are once again another smash spot. They're playing the Seahawks that have no pass rush and just this another once again. Talk about game theories. It's just because this game is going to be highly played by a lot of people doesn't mean you need to fade the game. You can still play it and be contrarian. You don't need to just fade. These games are the most popular plays for a reason. And when they have these high totals, you don't want to just fade it just because you think everybody's going to be on that game. You still want to have shares of that game.
Well, and even if you think about it, so let's say Dak Prescott is 25% on this week, which is super high. That's still 75% of people don't have.
Facts. All right.
Good way to look at it.
We'll get to week 3. Talking about Dak attack. We'll start with the quarterbacks. Upper tier. We'll give upper tier some lower tier, and we might throw a fade or two in there as well. So, Dustin, start us out with the quarterbacks. Let's start out with you, D. Reed.
Well, obviously you got the highest over under of the week with the Cowboys Seahawks, and both quarterbacks are ranked high. I don't think you can go wrong either way. I mean, obviously Dak's shown us with his feet he can score. Russell Wilson's been MVP level for the last few years. So I like either one of those. I think they're going to be high on, like Price said. Dak 25%. I'm sure Russell Wilson will be very high on as well. The guy I've been playing the last 2 weeks, Josh Allen, has looked phenomenal. Right, the big knock on him has always been his accuracy. Right, super athletic, just wasn't very accurate. Well, this year the dude's been friggin' accurate. He's got a new weapon in Diggs. Offense has looked really good. He obviously has the running ability. Had a rushing touchdown week 1. So I like him in that spot against the Rams. I mean, the Bills are good, 2-0. The Rams are obviously pretty good. They beat the Cowboys, right? So all kidding aside, I do like, for a contrarian play, if you're playing the top end guys, I like Josh Allen. Kind of similar to Kyler Murray, where they can get points with their feet and then, not be in the highest scoring game of the week. So I kind of like Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. I just worry about Kyler Murray in the zone in Detroit game of them getting up and then feeding Drake the ball. And we'll talk about running backs later, but I think we're all 3 on Drake this week. So kind of hard to pick a quarterback in that spot, especially when Detroit just looks terrible. Price's boy Cam Newton hovering up there at 6,700. Who would have thought Cam Newton at the beginning of the year would be fifth highest priced quarterback week 3?
Yeah.
Me for one, right? Another guy that can get you points with his feet. So as far as the 6K and up guys, there's quite a few of them, starting with Phillip Rivers at 6K all the way up. I like the top end, Cam Newton, Josh Allen, Prescott, Russell Wilson. And then I'm not super huge on Matt Ryan this week. I think, that Chicago can get pressure. And, sometimes he can have one of those games where, he's throwing some pick sixes and stuff. And then Chicago's just running the ball. So, those are kind of the guys I'm looking at in this top end of the range. But, if I had to fade one guy this week from this range, it would probably be Deshaun Watson playing at Pitt. Pitt has a bulldog defense. They put a lot of pressure, and Deshaun just doesn't have that many weapons, and his line's not that great. So I know he's really good, really mobile, but I'd probably fade him this week.
Yeah, I like all those. I like all those calls. I think really the top 6, you can take shares of all 6 of those and be all right, from Matt Ryan all the way up to Russell Wilson. I think the Russell Wilson or Dak Prescott, both those plays are going to be very popular, and rightfully so. Kyler Murray, like Dustin said, I'm going to be fading him just because I really want to get Drake in there. I don't really want to play Kyler Murray and Drake, especially with all these other plays. The one I keep clicking on is Scam Newton. I call him Scam Newton because I went to Alabama, so he stole that laptop in Florida and got kicked out. So I'm always going to call him Scam Newton. But this week he came out and said he's playing for the love of the game. It's not about money. He's made enough money. And he's gotten older. I've started to respect him and actually enjoy watching him play the game. He has the Tim Tebow offense in full effect. He's just taking all the goal line carries. And he has a receiver that I'm really thinking about using Cam Newton and one of those receivers that we'll get into shortly. You definitely want to watch that and stay tuned. And if you don't follow us on DFS Dads on Facebook or Twitter, we gave out a free play with the receiver that we really like that Cam Newton has been throwing to. So a little plug there. It's free. It helps us out, helps you out. We give out a lot of good content there. So check us out there. So Cam Newton, I really like. I'm tending to go down the range to Cam, and then I'm intrigued by, I know you said fade him, but I'm intrigued by Matt Ryan. I love his price point, and this offense is high power, but for just $100 more, Cam Newton to me seems like a little bit of a safer play. And you've been on Josh Allen, and he has produced.
Yeah,
And he gets to play the Jets and the Dolphins twice a year, so that's always nice. But he's going to start not playing the Jets or the awful Miami defense. So it'll be interesting to see as the year goes on. But they did a great job with getting Diggs. That was a good fantasy addition and also real life addition to the Bills and Josh Allen. Pair him up with John Brown. He's been doing great things. So anybody in this top 6, I understand if that's who you want to play. But Cam Newton has kind of been my go-to play. And then I have some shares of both Russ and Dak because I am not fading this game. This game is going to be high-powered. So that's where I'm up top. And down low, real quickly to touch on before we get to prices, Trubinsky, I've been on him. Week 1, he ended up coming up clutch at the end with 25 fantasy points. Last week, not as good. But I'm going to continue pairing him and Allen Robinson until they hit for me. And this week, once again, I'm going to have some shares. Trubinsky, 5,700. That's a great price. With that savings, you can do a lot with that. So that's kind of my lower end play of the week. Price, where Dustin and I wrong? What do you like?
I don't think either one are wrong. I mean, we come into this and look, and we kind of talked yesterday and a little bit today about how Newton's in a plus matchup against the Raiders, who are going to give up points, and when they get down inside the 5, they just run the fucking QB power.
Yeah.
Tight ends, extra lineman, and fullback, and he just runs it down your throat. So the fact that you have a guy who can throw for 300 yards, rush for 50, and get every goal line touch, that's going to exponentially raise his value to us. And at 6,700, you're saving 600 off Russell Wilson, who I don't think he'll be as high owned because he's 7,300, which would be good. I mean, Dak and Russ, that's going to be a great game. It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, we all agree that we all want to use Kyler Murray, but we like Drake a little bit more this week. But I wouldn't mind having a little Murray-Hopkins stack in one if you don't want to use Drake. I agree with you on Trubisky. I mean, if the Falcons' offense is so high-powered, they're going to put up points. So Chicago's going to have to keep up. So Trubisky's going to be out there. The problem is, can he actually fucking hit Allen Robinson? He got, 10 targets and 3 catches? But my favorite mid-tier is Herbert. Thank the team doc for giving him some PT. I mean, he's good matchup. Carolina's defense sucks. He's mobile, so he can run. He scored a rushing touchdown last week. He's got Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, Eckler coming on the back. He's in a good spot. And Carolina's offense should be able to put up some points. Chargers D is pretty good, but it could be a sneaky little $5,900 play where he's like 3% owned. And if he gets you 50 yards rushing, a rushing TD, and 250 yards passing and a TD there, he hits value and pays off for you. But unfortunately, I'm with Dustin on fading Deshaun Watson because since he can't stack Deshaun and Hopkins anymore because they decided to trade him, he has no one to throw to. It's Jordan Akins, Darren Fells,
Randall Cobb
and Brandon Cooks, who, if you stack them on top of their shoulders, it sucks because I'm a Texans fan. I think they're going to get just beaten to shit, and we're going to start 0-3, and then maybe they'll fire Bill O'Brien finally.
He'll stay as a GM, though.
I will say I'm not on Phillip Rivers at all this week. I think it's good and bad, Phillip Rivers, and I think he's due to throw a couple picks and turn the ball over.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, no Paris Campbell. I like your pick for Herbert. I'm a diehard college football fan, and that man is not accurate. I don't care what anybody says, but they're averaging like 80 plays a game. They are just locked and loaded. And I was not 14 and Allen, but Dustin, you're right. He's getting the targets, and that offense is 80 plays a game. You're gonna put up some points.
You think Herbert's not accurate? How about Tyrod? I mean, my goodness.
Ty Bad Taylor is just horrible.
I think the coach told the team doctor to puncture his lung. Help me out here, buddy.
Talk about injuries. We're going to let Price start us up with who do you like? C-Mac this week, Saquon, who else? Henry. He might as well have been hurt, but I think Price is going to start us out with Chris McCaffrey and some Saquon Barkley this week. Who you got at running back?
So I like more of the mid-tier guys this week. Video's being stupid.
There we go.
So, in game theory, what are the odds of everyone going back to Derrick Henry after he lays a dud last week? I would say it's not as high as normal. Most people are going to go to the cheap running backs or mid-tier and leave him alone. So, I would look at him. That's probably the only upper-tier range I would like. I know that y'all don't really agree because Kelly keeps getting all the snaps, but Eckler is in a plus matchup. So he's averaging, 90 yards rushing a game? So he's not getting any receiving out of the backfield yet. But, I mean, Carolina's rush defense is atrocious. It's the worst in the league. He's going to be super low owned because of the fact that his backup's been getting touches. And you got to think at some point he's going to break out. It's a plus matchup. I don't know if I'll roll him in my single. I'm going to have one big bullet and then a couple small entries where I just kind of mess around. He won't make that because I'm all in on Dustin's boy, Miles Sanders. Great matchup since he cannot stop the run. He looked great last week against the Rams, almost had 100 yards rushing. He's going to catch balls out of the backfield too. He's going to go beast mode. I think he puts up like 120 yards and at least a touchdown. And he gets us a nice little 25, 28 fantasy points. We all love Kenyon Drake. Obviously, Detroit just gave up like 200 yards rushing to the Packers. So they have to worry about Murray along with Hopkins. So should open up some lanes for Drake. My next one would be David Montgomery. So he's quietly taken like 80% of the snaps. And he got all the targets but one out of the backfield last week. My next person who I really like is McKinnon. So I touched on him last week when he was like 3,800, just because of the fact they had no weapons, and then Mostert goes down, and then Coleman goes down. So now he's going to start. The only thing that's really scary about him is his health, because he gets hurt every year. But as long as he doesn't get hurt in practice, I'm going to use him this week. The one guy I'm fading who is probably going to be popular is Mike Davis, just because he filled in for C-Mac and had 8 catches down the stretch. But look at what the Chargers have done to start. They stopped Eckler and Kelly. CEH didn't do shit against them last week. So it looks like they have an elite run defense, and they don't even have Derwin James back. So I think it's a good spot to, fade him. I'm not going to play your boy Taylor because I'm going to roll the Jets defense again because they're mid-price and I'm a cheapo. But I feel like it's a letdown spot for the Colts. There's something telling me that Rivers is going to shit the bed. The game script's going to not let Taylor get 30 carries. And for some reason, he's just not going to hit the 7,000 value.
I can see that. I definitely can see that. Is there anybody else way down low that you would take a flyer on?
The only other one I would really take a real flyer on. He's not even that cheap though. Would be a Singletary. Just because. So Moss had the touchdown week 1, but he didn't do anything last week, and he only got 1 target, and that's where he was supposed to kind of separate from Singletary. And we just watched the Rams give up almost 100 yards rushing to Miles Sanders, so you got to think that the Bills are going to try and run it down their throat too. So
yeah, I'm with you, Price, on pretty much all of your running back plays. I'll say this is a week that I'm definitely in my flex going to run a running back. And I think running it back with Zeke Henry is a great combo. It didn't work out last week, and a lot of people might be off of that. And if I'm not going to go – so I'm not going to go Dak this week. And not going Dak allows me, I feel like, to go Zeke. Zeke Henry and then McKinnon, I think, is a killer trio for a tournament stack. And that's kind of where I'm leaning. And Price kind of convinced me with John Taylor, like, I want the Jets defense. And I think you're right about the Colts this week. And at $7K, if I want to fit in Zeke and Henry and then go down low to McKinnon, someone's got to be faded there. And if you're going to run with the Jets defense, the men price defense, that might be a great play. It is a great play. I disagree with Eckler. I'm going to continue disagreeing with him. Kelly, for whatever reason, they're both getting 20 touches a game, it seems like, mainly because they're playing 80 snaps a game on offense. But Eckler, to me, at that price is still too high. Kelly's taking away a lot of touches from him. And so until Eckler starts showing you something, I'm not going to bet on him. Miles Sanders with Dustin. Dustin loves the old Miles Sanders, and there's great reason to. 6,400, if you wanted to go off of a Zeke or a Henry, Miles Sanders to me would be a great play, and that gives you lots of savings to be able to spend up on either tight end or receiver. So that's kind of where I'm at with the running back position, and I'm 100% on board with. I think Dustin's going to touch on this, so I don't want to steal the thunder, but fading all of the chalk running back plays from the injuries that happened. And that's kind of where, besides McKinnon, but he kind of showed out last week. So that's kind of where I'm at with the running back. D. Reed.
Yeah. So I think, everybody's going to jump on the injuries and be, because it's what most people will do, right? Oh, I can get this guy that's going to all of a sudden be a 3-down back, even though he might not be, because you never know NFL coaches these days. And so they plug these guys in and then, maybe not get the value they expect. So I love fading most of them. So I was off of Eckler. And then just looking through some of the stats, he's gotten 20 touches each game, like Chris said. He's averaged 5 yards a carry. Right. He got more involved in the pass game last week with 4 catches for like 60 yards or something. He just missing a touchdown. He's explosive. We've seen in the past. He was back up to Melvin Gordon and still produced as an RB1, RB2 some weeks, right? And so, he's kind of due, right? And so Price is kind of leaning me towards Eckler. And I know he's going to be super low owned because I was thinking the same way Chris has been thinking. And then you actually get and dig into it. 20 touches a game, 5 yards per touch, and the dude's bound to break one soon. He's just explosive. So I'll be looking more into Eckler. Really like Henry here in a bounce back game. Minnesota's freaking terrible. Cousins looks like Chris out there trying to lead an NFL team. I mean,
Not that bad. He's not that bad. Trust me.
did you see the last? He was
Bro,
bad.
my small hands can't even grip an NFL-sized football.
But the dude was trash.
Bro, NFL-sized football, people don't understand. Those things are massive. They are.
Anyway, he's trash. Nothing against Chris, but Kirk Cousins is trash, especially through 2 games. So I like Henry to just beat the hell out of the Minnesota defense and, a bounce back game for him. Also low owned, like Price said, because people have a bad taste in the mouth. Another guy I like that obviously Sanders, it kind of worries me because he's in such a good spot.
Kind of like Henry last week.
It's low, 6,400. He looked really good. He was the workhorse. I thought they were going to use Boston Scott a little bit more.
Bart Stars coming in.
Yeah, and they really didn't. He was a change of pace, but he got all the touches. And so I like him in that spot against Cincinnati, who, like Price said, is terrible in the front. And then Kenyon Drake. I wish I could play 4 running backs this week now. So I'm going to have to choose between those 4. Those are going to be my 4 core running backs probably. Mixon kind of intrigues me just because he's been not very good. But Philadelphia does have a pretty good front 7, so I have to dig a little more into the analytics there. But it seems like Mixon's a little bit due given the price point and that he's a 3-down back. So as far as low-owned guys, depending on if Devontae Freeman, gets through the COVID testing. I know they have to do some crazy testing, so he probably won't be available this week. But he's a guy that's going to come in, I'm assuming, at the minimum price that you can throw in there. And he was signed by the Giants, and who knows with the Giants? They're so bad. But yeah, and then McKinnon 4,900 had the 70-yard touchdown. So those, as far as the low guys, I'm staying away from all of them except for McKinnon. I'll probably sprinkle him in some lineups, but I'm going to go with those top tier guys, and especially some of those that are going to be lower owned and due for bounce back games.
Nice. So we'll let Dustin start us off with receivers, but before we jump into receivers, gotta say all this is free content. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not, turn on the notification bell. What do you got to lose, right? You got when we go live, we do a PGA pod. We're doing an NFL pod every single week. We have a couple other videos. Price after his morning workouts on Mondays, doing some Monday morning quarterback videos for us. So it's free. Do it. Go there. And while you're at it, go to your Facebook, go to your Twitter, the DFS Dads, the same handle. Hit us up there. We put out some free plays for PGA and NFL. Give some sneak peeks. And if you really want a deeper dive into what we're doing, go a little bit more analytical, a little bit more exactly who we're wanting to play, and break down your lineups, go to dfsdads.com and join up. Give us a shot for a week. Give us a shot for a month. For the next couple months, we got NFL going. We have the Masters coming up. It's a great time to join up. So if you haven't done that, I would highly suggest you do that. We also have something called the Slack, where you can join a community, a family, where we're able to give you all of our insights of our picks and our plays, go over your lineup, give you a review. We're still small enough to where we can take a deep dive into your lineups and tell you what we like, what we don't like, and give you some sound advice on a few changes that you can make to optimize that lineup. So let's get to the receivers. Once again, if you have not smashed that like button, I'm kind of mad at you. I'm kind of mad. Smash that like button. Dustin, receivers, talk to us.
Yeah, so here again, you got the two of the 3 top price guys, Julio and Ridley. The same conundrum we've been in for a couple of weeks now. I think the safest play to me as far as the 7K and up guys, and I'm probably going to fade all of them, to be honest with you, is Hopkins. And I kind of touched on it earlier, like in Drake, that he's safe, but how safe is he? If it was a little better competition besides Detroit, I would like him more. Plus, he's 7,900. I mean, he's the alpha there in Arizona, but I feel like they get up that it's going to be the Drake show. Kind of staying away from Julio and Ridley this week. Nothing against them. I mean, either one of them could go bonkers again. I'm just at that price point. I think there's some better value elsewhere, and especially if I'm going that higher tier running back, I got to find some value. So, Diggs been balling out. Josh Allen, like Chris said, they've been playing some subpar teams, and he gets to go against the flop artist Jalen Ramsey, who will be shadowing him. So, not necessarily digging that matchup. And then Thielen, I'm staying away from until Cousins can freaking show me he can throw the ball. I mean, Thielen's out there never mind. Cousins is terrible. Stay away. You got Godwin looking like he's coming back. So you got the Evans-Godwin conundrum like you do Julio and Ridley. So I'm kind of not looking there. And I am a Cowboys fan, but I am looking all in on Amari Cooper. Dak is looking his way often. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Cowboys are the dog in this one, so if you go by that, they're going to be playing from behind. So I see him throwing, and Cooper, I think he has 20-some targets the first two games, so he's in a smash spot in a high-scoring game. And at 6,500, sign me up, please. Sign me up. And then you get another duo in Metcalf and Lockett, 6,500 and 6,400 respectively. Metcalf is obviously the freaking chiseled Greek god that he is and has been playing pretty good, catching touchdowns. But Lockett has received more targets, and I think I'm playing Lockett this week over Metcalf. I think he'll be lower owned and has just as much upside, if not more. So I like Lockett and Cooper as a stack for that game. And then going down, see where I like Keenan Allen this week. I think he showed some good rapport with the Rook, Herbert, getting a lot of targets, a guy that can actually get him the ball. Tyrod, isn't as good of a passer, it doesn't seem like. I mean, obviously the offense got an uptick when Herbert played. So kind of looking at Keenan Allen there. And then you kind of go down. You got Will Fuller at 6,000. No, thank you. To me, you go $100 cheaper in McLaurin for Washington. Yeah, Washington's terrible. Haskins has looked better this year. He balled out last week. He gets lots of targets. He's the number one option there. And they're going against Cleveland, whose secondary is not that good. So I like McLaurin at 5,900 as a number one option. He's going to get 8 to 10 targets at least. And then moving on down to where's my guy at? Deontay Johnson. I've been on this guy the first 2 weeks. He's value plus both rounds. I mean, he smashed last week. He's still 5,400. He's getting 10 targets a game on a freaking really good offense, and they're playing Houston at home. He's 5'10", kind of like Antonio Brown. It's the second year. I'm going to keep freaking playing the guy until DK puts him out of my price point. But love Deontay Johnson. He'll be in all my lineups for the most part. I actually like Deshaun Jackson a little bit this week. He's gotten 7, 8 targets both games, and he's due to hit a long one. I mean, that's what he does. And they're playing Cincy. They're at Philadelphia's at home, so I see Carson maybe going over the top and hitting D-Jack for a long one. And his price point's 5,200. And if somebody getting 8 targets, I can live with that. So I'll look more into D-Jack. And then going low, I actually like Jerry Jeudy. I know that's your Bama guy. He's kind of the best option for Denver. You know, you got Lockout, you got Sutton out. Sutton's received a lot of targets, I think eight each game. And Driscoll's a formidable backup. He played a lot last year in Detroit, and he hasn't been bad. He's one of those backups that's pretty good. Played great last week, coming in against Pitt, who's a really good defense, threw 2 touchdowns. So I like Judy. You know, getting 8 targets, and he's super athletic and can break one. And so that's kind of my take. The only other guys I would look at, obviously I'll let y'all touch on New England, but Golden Tate and Slayton, both are under 5,000, and the Giants just have no weapons. I mean, they got to do something, right? They got Saquon's out, Shepard's out, so you know it's Ingram and those two. So, and they're terrible, so they're always going to be playing from behind. So, you know, just a matter of PPR and DK points. I like those two at that value.
I like that Slayton pick. And I'm with you. I'm with you on. You get to figure out who you want to pick with the Lockett or DK.
Yeah.
It's gonna be higher owned. We gave out a free pick once again on our Twitter for the showdown. We said DK is going to have a bomb, and we didn't know Gilmore was going to be on him the whole night, but he caught it. He still caught a bomb and broke the tackle, got in the end zone. He was showing some competitive spirit there as they were jawing back and forth. So I think it's going to be it's tough, Lockett or DK. A couple of times I'm like, I needed a $100 extra, and so I ended up going Lockett. But both of those plays are really good. They both have really high upside, and so either one of those plays are great plays. Same thing with the Cowboys. Look, Cooper, yes. CeeDee Lamb, though, is also very intriguing. And then our boy Gallup that we've been talking about, he is going to smash one of these weeks. We just don't know when. He's a really good best ball player. And in one of these weeks, he's going to win somebody $1 million in DraftKings. It could be this week because Seattle's defense is not good. But I'm with you that Cooper's the safe option and the most logical option for sure. But I do want to touch on that New England Patriots duo of receivers that we like. We like Harry. Price is probably a little bit more higher on Harry than I am, even though I like him. But at $3,000, Bird is a sneaky GPP play. Now, cash, I wouldn't necessarily love it, but if you watched the game last week, Bird is getting involved. He's getting those touches, and that's someone that if you want a punt play, that's who I would punt to. If you want a little bit safer option, Harry looks like he's going to be reliable. He doesn't have Tom Brady out there yelling at him because he doesn't know what route tree to run. So Harry's been showing out these first couple of weeks. Cam and him have a little bit of chemistry, but I think Bird's got some chemistry with the old Scam Newton as well. So both of those plays I think are good. I think there's a lot of really good value plays this week. Slayton, like Dustin said, is someone that I'm targeting at 4,900 Buckaroos. That's not bad at all. And then once again, you want to get some of that Seattle Cowboys game. And so it's just a matter of who you want from that game. And that's kind of where I'm at. I think you can if you wanted to go contrarian and not have Drake, Price said, Kyler and Hopkins. I was dead wrong in Hopkins. I thought with the spread out offense from the Texas Tech coach, it's not about getting one receiver all these touches, but Hopkins is just the dude. He is that guy. Christian Kirk has just completely let me down at least. And there's Hopkins is that guy, and they are feeding him. So you want to
Price knows a lot about Hopkins.
He does. That's kind of where I'm at with receiver, a little bit all over the place from lower tier to upper tier.
What about you, P?
So, once again, me being me, I'm over here, game theory. We're talking about Keneal Harry, Bird. How many people did he go to Edelman at 6,200? He's the 12th highest receiver. But who's going to pick him over, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Godwin, Ridley, he could be super low owned. If it's the correct ownership, that might be a place I look at. I love Harry just because he's a big body, getting 8 to 9 targets a game. Newton seems to like him, trust him. I think a sneaky play is John Brown. So Diggs is going to have Jalen Ramsey on him, and Brown has a touchdown and like 8 targets or 8 catches every single game so far.
Yep.
So if Josh Allen's going to keep throwing the ball, and Ramsey's going to be on Diggs, Brown should be the benefactor there. Like you guys, I love Cooper, love Lockett. McLaurin's good. Deontay Johnson's going to absolutely destroy Houston's secondary. I really want to see if Galladay plays, because if Galladay plays, that could be great. I mean, it's scary as shit to take a guy right back off a hamstring, but I mean, I assume most people will feel the same way and not go there.
True.
And then I think a cheap play to look at is Pittman for the Colts. I don't know if they'll do it this week, but I mean, they drafted him for a reason. They don't really like Pascal. With your boy out, he should elevate to the number 2 receiver at some point. But other than that, man, I think we're all on the same page. The only other person, like I said, would be John Brown or, depending on ownership, Edelman. Because if Edelman's going to be like 3 to 5% owned, I think that's a great stack with him and Cam Newton.
Yeah. Cam Newton's actually hitting Edelman for the deep ball as well, which is something Tom Brady just knew how to throw like little whip routes and stuff for Edelman.
Edelman caught the hell out of that one ball, though.
Oh my gosh, he did.
That was a crazy catch.
But let's get rolling on along to tight ends. I'll go really briefly. I think that the tight ends on the upper end of the echelon this week is what, from all of our discussions, seems like the route to go, especially because we're able to save with some of our other plays. But from Waller to Fant to Hawk, from TJ, Jonnu Smith just completely lighting it up. That's where I'm looking at. I am completely 100% off of Price's boy Herndon, even though, look, he's an athletic specimen and a beast, but I'm off of him completely 100%. So the topper end range of the tight ends I like. Jordan Reed, once again, he's gone up now in value to 4K, I believe his price is. But really the top end from Waller to TJ, I think Hawkinson, this is a great smash week for him. I'm really intrigued by him. But that's where I'm at tight end. What about you, Price?
So I'm going to try to put Waller in every lineup I can. I mean, Carr's just throwing the rock to him. I mean, you get a tight end who gets 12 targets. That's really hard to beat in that 5,700. That's not expensive. When usually the top end tight ends on a slate are 7K, 7,200 with Kittle and Kelsey. So I think if you don't use Miles Sanders, you can look at Zach Ertz. I think that'd be a good matchup. If you don't use Eckler or Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry would be a really good person to plug in there because he's getting 5-6 catches for 60 yards. So I mean, 11 points out of there, he's going to score at some point, so you get a touchdown in there. 17 points is really solid for a 5K tight end. Fance looked amazing. I know that you're more on the McLaurin, but Logan Thomas, he's 3,700, and he gets to face Cleveland, who can't cover tight ends. So you get a guy who's cheap, 8 targets a game. He had a good week 1. He had 8 targets, but only 3 catches week 2. I mean, you get me 5 for 50 at 3,700, you hit value. The other guy to look at, I don't know if Kittle's ruled out completely.
He practiced, I think, today.
I mean, coming off a hyperextended knee, if he's not going to be very high owned with the other value guys we're using, if you kick McKinnon to the door, roll Kittle, I mean, no one's really going to be on him, I don't think. And then possibly Schultz. It does worry me because if Wagner and Jamal Adams cover him, I don't really see Schultz doing what he did last week. which is going to be an anomaly. But to start the week, I looked at Schultz thinking I want to attack the Cowboys-Falcons game in a unique way, and then ended up going Julio and Cooper. But I'm also with you. Herndon can go take a hike.
He's got to show me something first.
Yes, I'm pissed at that guy. For sure.
What do you think, Dustin?
So Higbee intrigues me. I know he came off a huge game, but Buffalo has got a really good defense, but they're not as great against the tight end. And Higbee's kind of one of those athletic guys that kind of line up and do his thing. So he's at 5,900. I feel like he's pretty safe to get, catches, targets, and that kind of thing. Love Waller. I mean, the dude's been great since last year. I mean, he came on the scene really, really strong and had looked really good this was it Monday night, and he's his favorite target, so can't go wrong there. I like Ertz to have a little bit of bounce back game. I'm taking Sanders though, so it's kind of one of those deal. I mean, Ertz is getting 7-8 targets a game still. I think kind of depends on game flow. So I'm looking at him, like what you said about Ingram. He's the best option they have there now, especially with Slayton and Tate is the only other wide receivers, and Tate's on the downhill of his career. I think Hurst is intriguing, just given the two guys on the opposite sides of him when he's running routes. They command a lot of attention, kind of like Schultz last week, where you got Cooper and CD and Gallup, and you got to pick your poison and you say, okay, let this guy beat us, and occasionally they do. So, and Hurst obviously had a good game against the Cowboys, so kind of intrigued there. Mo Alley Cox for Indy. Doyle doesn't look like he's going to play. Had a really good game. I think he had 7 catches for like 100 and something yards. So kind of a low value guy. And then obviously Thomas. I mean, the dude's getting so many targets. He for whatever reason, he's not catching a ton of them, but given that volume and that price point, it's only bound, like you said, 5 for 50. And then if he does get pay dirt, then way better. So I'm kind of looking. And that didn't dissuade me from playing McLaurin either, because Washington's run game is non-existent for the most part, and they're always going to be trailing. I shouldn't say always, because their front seven's beast mode, but they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. And so you got McLaurin or Thomas. So, obviously DK is a PPR contest, so they're both going to get 8 to 10 targets every week probably. So, and they're both pretty cheap. So I like both of them, to be honest with you. So, kind of in the same arena. I don't like Jordan Reed. Obviously, Kittle was limited today, but I just think, the Giants are bad. Obviously, San Francisco's banged up too, so you never know what's going to happen. I just don't see the same thing reproducing. And plus, Jordan Reed could get hit in the head and get another concussion.
Well, let's move on to the last spot.
The defense.
I think I'm with Price with the bottom tier, the Jets.
Y'all are always bottom tier defense.
Yes, just. Well, the spread teams at bottom tier that first week was just phenomenal. I wish they were that again. We're not going to. The one other play that I like personally is the Eagles versus the Bungles at 2,800. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I'm not getting off the lowest tier, the defense.
If you look at their projections, they're projected 4 points less than the top defense. But they're half the price of them. So just mathematically, it makes sense to So last year, DK did a different strategy where this defense, like if they were playing like the Chiefs, they put them on like $800 because they want you to go down there and take the gamble of they might get you negative points. I don't give a shit if they give me 2 points because it allows me to go fit in the other guys who I want to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm a
$800 defense.
I'm a little bit contrarian sometimes. Like I went Pitt heavy last week, and they obviously paid off. But a lot of times, like y'all said, I mean, the defense isn't going to be the game changer for you. And so, going cheap and leveraging elsewhere, obviously, it can benefit you a little bit more most weeks. So, like you said, the Jets averaging almost 6 points per week. And you look at all the other defenses above them, and Indianapolis isn't been, tearing it up by any means. So, and they got turnover king Phillip Rivers. So, yeah, I mean, I like that play. I think the Giants at 2,700 is a little intriguing. They're at home. San Francisco's got, like, every backup possible. And so I just think just a battle of two terrible teams, maybe 6-3 or something. Who knows? And then at the top, or not the top, but mid-tier, I mean, Washington at Cleveland. Baker's a turnover king. That front seven, I mean, I could see them causing some turnovers there. And then I obviously like the Steelers at home against the Texans. They're going to cost you $4,000, but they're going to get sacks. They're going to get turnovers. I mean, Deshaun's going to be, running from himself, and it's just going to lead to mistakes, unfortunately, because he really has no weapons, and their run game is okay. So I just think that a lot of errors are going to occur. So those are kind of the defenses I'm looking at. There's one in each kind of tiers depending on my builds, but
I really wanted the Bucks to be cheaper, but they're 3,700.
Yeah.
But I did find on Yahoo they're min priced.
You're an addict whenever you're going on Yahoo.
Hey, dude, there's
money's
always
money.
Money's money. That's right. That's true. That's why you need to play PGA too. If y'all are not playing PGA, get that PGA wagon.
Yeah, we've been fired.
They'll have a really good golfer priced super low. So it usually happens on receivers and running backs too. And then this week I looked and they have like the fourth highest priced DK defense is min priced.
Wow.
So
all right, guys. I hope you all enjoyed that pod. That is it. Let's make some money, and we will see y'all next time.